Speaker Mike Johnson is a rock star. I really like him. There's a lot of MAGA people that don't. They don't trust him, but Trump clearly endorses him and trusts him and just endorsed him again as Speaker of the House. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. Welcome to Exile. We have only told you the truth. I mean, as best we can on politics. Been right about pretty much everything, but especially Mike Johnson. Of all the things that I've been right about, he was probably my best guest. And there's still people out there going, don't trust him. Even as like everyone is leaning on him to help smoothly save the day. Let's watch.
After a big endorsement from Donald Trump, well, House Republicans then unanimously backed Mike Johnson to remain as Speaker of the House in January.
So the big vote was, are you going to replace him or keep him as Speaker of the House? It was overwhelmingly to keep him. Remember, this is the guy that Matt Gaetz helped put in office when he vacated McCarthy.
He joins us now. Mr. Speaker, thank you. We appreciate it. The polls were showing there was a 70 to 80% chance you would lose the majority in the House. That did not happen. You have a majority, albeit, again, a small majority.
Once again, the people that were betting against Mike Johnson were the fake news polls and some of the people that accuse him of being a rhino. They agree with the fake news liberal polls. They're against Mike Johnson. It's time for you guys to reorient yourself because Mike Johnson is a good guy and he knows what he's a little more of mercurial, a bit of a chameleon. He'll go along to play along. But boy, when he started seeing Trump take off, he is on board with that mission. So that is, he's chameleoning in the right way to the right side.
But you have a bigger problem, and that is you'll fairly soon be losing, well, you already lost Matt Gaetz because he resigned today, but at least Stefanik, Mike Waltz. How do you handle that so that at no point does control of the House get into the hands of the Democrats?
Now, these are Trump appointees, right? He appoints them to a position, say, Elise Stefanik to the UN. Her position temporarily goes empty in New York until they can fill it, either by an appointment or a special election. Special election means, you got to go back and vote again. And so it's a danger if you pull too many Republicans, especially from blue districts. It's not as bad if you pull them from Florida.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have, Sean. We have an embarrassment of riches in the House Republican Conference. Lots of talented people who are very attuned to the America First agenda, and they can serve the country well in other capacities. But I've told President Trump, enough already. You got to give me some relief. I got to maintain this majority. And he understands that, of course. We've been talking about it hourly almost every day.
Yeah, what you don't want to do is make an appointment that ends up causing you to lose the majority in the House, and then he'd no longer be Speaker of the House because Speaker of the House goes to the majority. So you don't want to lose that position.
I think we're going to be settled. The numbers that you just projected there, I think, will be the reality, and we will have the majority. I think these seats, Matt's, for example, his resignation today was to help us because it starts the clock under Florida state law. It's about a 8-week process to fill that seat.
So Matt Gaetz surprised everyone with how quickly he came in and resigned his position from Florida once he was appointed to Attorney General. So it's kind of, there's hubris on 2 points. One, he doesn't know if he's going to get approved for the seat, right? He has to get the Senate to approve, right? They do approve and consent. If the seat's empty, it puts more pressure on them to quickly consent because now if they don't approve him, right, they're going to cause all kinds of other trouble because he's already resigned. So now they have an empty seat. So I think it puts extra pressure on the rhinos. And you already have a Susan Collins and Murkowski from Alaska that said they would not approve Matt Gaetz. That means you only have two more. You can only lose two more Republicans. So they got to stay united.
So if we do this quickly, and I've already called Governor DeSantis to ask him to kickstart this thing, we could have that seat filled by January 3rd when the new Congress begins. So that would be one seat replaced almost immediately.
So that's now DeSantis is in charge of appointing a replacement for Matt Gaetz in his seat. There's a lot of buzz around putting Laura Trump in that seat, which I don't care either way. I don't care who gets it as long as they're a good Republican. But there's a lot of pressure from the Trump side to appoint Laura Trump. Now, you don't just want to put in some rock star. You want someone who eventually, if they have to rerun for that position in a couple of years, that they can still win it on their own. So it can't just be anyone.
Would it be beneficial if Mike Waltz of Florida did the same thing?
Well, I'm going to talk about with him tonight about that. The timing matters. We need to stagger these things. He's going to fill a very important position for the president and for the country, and we don't want to delay that. And he doesn't have to be appointed by the Senate, his position.
Okay, so look for Mike Waltz also to step down quickly. They can't have too many vacant seats because they won't be able to vote, but they also have to get them in position, get their seats refilled before the next Congress goes into session early next year for the inauguration and for the January 6th happy times. They have to get back, they have to get all those seats filled. So it'll be look for Matt Gaetz, Mike Waltz, and Elise Stefanik to bail quickly and get them replaced quickly.
Let's talk a little bit about Elise Stefanik in New York. How does the process work there?
So New York is a little scary because you don't want Hochul to have to replace her, a New York Democrat. You want a Republican people to have to vote for her, and Trump is willing to go and campaign for her to help fill her position.
Well, Elise has a similar situation under New York state law. The governor there, Hochul, can't play games with this. It's about a 80-day process, roughly. And she comes from a very safe red district as well, so we'll get a strong Republican there. The county chairs are already working to come up with a consensus on who they'll put forward as the party's nominee, and we'll get that done.
So they have to go and scrub through some red New York district to find a Republican. They'll run them. They have to jive with New York and want to work in that red district. And then you replace them easy peasy.
President Trump's already committed. If necessary, he'd go up there and do a rally. I mean, we will get this job done. But Elise is going to do an extraordinary job at the UN as the ambassador there. She's a strong voice. She's Harvard educated, really smart, very sharp and unflappable, and she will advance America's agenda at the UN again. That's a really important position, so I'm delighted she got it.
I think America's best agenda at the UN would be to shut the UN down.
So it almost sounds like it would be better if she were to resign sooner than later also.
And the atmosphere here on the Hill is one of euphoria. I mean, the Republican Party is united and energized like I've never seen it.
And that's the big message, is the energy in the room is happiness. Our side is winning, and that makes them happy because Republicans were so used to being on the wrong side of everything that for once you have this giant chance to completely reform government with all branches of government leaning your way. I wonder if the Republicans are going to screw this up and blow it.
That's very helpful. The unity aspect of this is very important because we have to work together. I did call Leader Thune today and congratulate him on his victory. We talked for a short period of time about the agenda going forward and how we have to do this in a bicameral fashion. We need the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans to be in lockstep on exactly the same page, and we will be.
So John Thune, in taking the majority lead after this election, he became that House side leader, the same way that Mike Johnson is the leader of the Senate. John Thune takes the other house to gather their leadership. And John Thune, I gave him a lot of trouble. You know, I don't like him. He's another kind of a chameleon who will follow the leadership of Trump. And it appears to be, he said in all of his public statements, I'm here to rubber stamp and put through and hurry through Trump's appointments. And so that's the bigger question is, will he vote for Matt Gaetz? Will he vote for Pete Hegseth? Will he vote for Kristi Noem, Trump's appointments?
And he's excited about that. He's committed to the America First agenda as well. And we laughed about how our home cities and counties, his county, my parish, voted overwhelmingly for President Trump in a landslide. And our people and all the American people really desperately want and need and deserve this, and we're going to deliver.
And so this is a unique time in all of Republican history on my watch as I've ever seen. I'm 58 years old and I've been through a lot of elections. This is a rare time that we have everything. And Trump is a true outside of the box visionary who can do things, fix the government in ways that no one else would even have conceived of it before. I think he could become a greater president than Reagan. In fact, I'll go this far. I think it's even likely. I'm Doug in exile.